Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, the one and only Mr. Hugh Griffin. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm excellent, Martin. How are you?
I'm very good, surprisingly. I'm very, very good. Been a bit fluey for the last week or so and
Oh no.
seem to be coming on the other side of it. So hopefully that is what it is. But
You had a nice Easter though?
yeah, it's always nice with the kids, covering the house in chocolate, bits here and everywhere. The other half
Oh, it
screaming, "What
must
are they
cost a
doing?"
fortune with 5 kids having to do an Easter egg hunt.
Well, it's not that bad, really. When you look at the age gaps, it's only the youngest three that we really need to do anything for. But
Oh, the oldest are too cool for school, are they? Not searching for Easter eggs. What am I?
yeah, my boy's 11 and he's he's autistic. So it's a fine balance to when he wants to do something or when he doesn't want to, when he's too young for something or too old for something, you know what I mean? And then the eldest is 16 in a couple of months, which is scary enough in itself. But yeah, the missus was actually panicking. I think it was on Friday. We haven't got enough eggs. Please get them out of the car because we keep them in the back of the car. We got it, but essentially a van. And pulled them all out, and they had 9 eggs each. We were like, shit, where have these all come from? Like, and
45 eggs. That's a lot of eggs.
that's without families as well. So there's been an extra few creeping in over the last day. Yeah.
Me and the missus, because we've been together obviously a long time, and our parents weren't quite sure when to stop buying us Easter eggs. So it got to like we were like 27 and we had like 3 Easter eggs each, and we're like,
That's right.
can we please stop buying? Very, gratefully and thankfully, respectfully, we aren't going to eat all this chocolate.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
we've managed to get it down to a bit more sensible this year.
obviously a bit different for you guys. I think there's like a line you cross, like when the grandkids start becoming involved. I think once they probably hit 3, you're like, okay, we're buying chocolate for the little ones now, not you anymore. But
Yeah.
we still do get the occasional egg, which I'm not going to refuse, especially if it's a Mars branded one. Love a
Well,
Mars
you start getting,
egg.
when you're an adult, you start getting posh chocolate.
No, no, I don't want none of this posh crap. I
I
want
don't
my
want
I want my
posh
milk
chocolate
chocolate.
either. I want milk chocolate as well.
Yeah, it's like my sister bought my eldest this Lint gold bar and stuff, all this posh one. So she was like, "Oh yeah, fancy. They love me." Blah blah blah. Never mind the people who keep a roof over your head, the people who buy you fancy chocolate. And I was looking at it going, I've had that chocolate. I don't like it. Just give me Cadbury. Give me.
Chocolate and sausages. Two things nicer the cheaper they are.
I mean, okay, borderline sausages. As long as it's just pork, no, just like pork and beef or pork and chicken.
Or
It's no pork.
miscellaneous.
Yeah.
At work once, they were serving burgers. This was at an old job that I had. They were serving burgers, and I went, "What kind of burger is it?" And she said, straight face, no hint of irony, miscellaneous. And I was like, "Okay." And she did. It wasn't a joke. She wasn't taking the piss. She just gave me an honest answer.
Yeah. But speaking of burgers, I actually went to a fun day, obviously on Easter yesterday, and burger van there only doing burgers and bacon rolls. Okay, fair enough. I had myself a cheeseburger. I took a bite out of it, like, looked at it. This is a spam burger. That's definitely what you would class as a miscellaneous burger. £4 as well. I was like, Jesus. I'm a cheap bastard, but that's just me.
Look
Okay.
what I got though. It being well, actually, no, this has got nothing to do with Easter. We had the girlfriend's parents down today, and they've just come back from Thailand when they were volunteering at an elephant sanctuary.
Okay.
And so we've gotten some elephant themed gifts, including this
That's cool.
elephant bottle opener.
Yeah, because that's really what a sanctuary need to be promoting or opening bottles.
Exactly, it's magnetic, so you can stick it to a radiator.
Well, if they do like this sort of animal protection sort of thing, send them somewhere where giraffes are, and then you can send me the gifts. My youngest is obsessed with them. We've got about 20, 30
A
different
giraffe
tigers.
would make a good bottle opener because you get a lot of leverage on that.
Exactly, that makes sense. That is. No, seriously, we got 6 foot ones. We got like 6 inch ones all over the place. It's quite creepy, actually. I actually, when the missus went well before, she was just in bed all day, and every now and then I would just grab one of the little ones giraffes and just put them up on the side cable. They would all just look at her. So every time she'd wake up, every half hour or so, there'd just be an extra giraffe there looking at her, judging her. Okay, I think we've waffled on
No.
enough now. So you made a beautiful trip to the Cardiff City Stadium last year to watch Judgement Day. You got to go to the Principality this year. So
Yeah, proper
28,
stadium.
yeah, 28,000 people, a little bit lower than we'd like. How
Hmm.
was it?
Uh, Best car journey I've had to Cardiff, in terms of
Ooh.
traffic. Very easy going both there and back. Didn't even feel the need to stop at.
Okay, for audio only, he was just pouring himself a lovely bottle of Pierre, what was it?
No, it's Beer Moretti.
Beer Moretti. Yeah, obviously just used his new elephant bottle opener to do it.
Yeah, and it started foaming over, so I had to react. But so
Can't pour a pint to save his
so
life.
yeah, so drove down to Cardiff. Um, Nice enough weather. Not too much traffic. Lovely job. Met up with people. Met Lee G, producer Lee, for the first time in person in Tiny Rebel. Saw Jamie from the Dragon Squad. Saw Nick from the Ospreys Erie, and the Cardiff. No, not Cardiff. From the Pod Cymru. Welsh language pod. If anybody, we got Welsh listeners, we know lots of Scarlets fans speak Welsh and read Welsh, etc. There is a Welsh language pod. If you remember Carwyn, who we used to have on this, he presents that, so definitely check it out. Um, well, who else did I meet? I met Jamie's dad. I met Jamie's mate who supports the Scarlets, and I met South African Alan from the URC pod and his lovely wife. So it was a lovely day out. That's the best thing about Judgment Day is meeting all the fans from other regions and stuff and having a chin wag because we're obviously deep down we obviously dislike each other immensely, but we are able to be civil and have a conversation around a table in a pub over a drink or two, and we've all got the same interests, we've all got the same hopes and ambitions and dreams and things. So yeah, that's the best thing about Judgment Day. So hang out there in Tiny Rebel for a drink, then went in over to the stadium. um Went in, bumped into Max Llewellyn in the queue. Um, so I got a selfie with him
Cool.
and went up, and yeah, watched both games of rugby. We were sat behind. There was the Australian Scarlets were sat in front of us. So there was Archer Holtz and Max Douglas and Max Douglas. For what I don't know, I don't have like suitable photographic evidence of this, but there was two Max Douglases sat in front of me because I saw someone who I thought was Max Douglas. And I was like, that's Max Douglas to everybody. And then we saw him walk and he sat down next to another Max Douglas. And genuinely, like, they have the same haircut, the same little mustache, everything. And I was like, I don't, does he have a twin? What happened? I tweeted the Scarlets, I tweeted Scarlet supporters. Nobody got back to me. At the end of the day, Max started walking out. So I waved over. I figured out which one was Max because he had his arm in a sling, see?
Yeah.
And we know that he's got a bad arm. So I called him over, I had a chat with him. The other one with him is his brother, his younger brother, not twins apparently. They are, swear they're identical twins. His brother plays second row for London Welsh.
Fair enough. And well, I've tried including London Welsh on this podcast before, but I've been shot down many times. But there
Yeah,
we are. We'd already know about him if I weren't shot down. I'm
yeah.
not having to go nowhere.
So I had a natter with him. He's had a shoulder reconstruction.
Yeah.
Now, I don't believe the shoulder was his injury. So I guess he's had an injury and he's thought, I'm out for the season, so I might as well get this done. But he's aiming to be back for start of next season, he says.
Happy
So
days.
yeah, that was cool. Like I said, hung out with Lee, watched the game, and generally, I guess, obviously, because I was there, I've got. Would you say I'm biased because I was there? Not really. I do think some people are having a bit of a pop at Judgment Day and stuff. I think Judgment Day is more of a good thing than a bad thing, and I think it is worth sticking with. And I think it clearly has worked in the past, and if it has worked in the past, it can work again in the future. I don't know what your take is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like talking about other teams, but I think Mark Jones hit the nail on the head. Is people have fallen out of love with Welsh rugby in the past few years, and I think we need to rekindle that, and that would help. Judgment Day as a concept is great. I would like to take it a step further. Involve the SRC teams, make it a 2 day event, hold it at a different time of the season because I think Easter Sunday or even anywhere near late in the season, it just doesn't feel right. It never has. So I like the concept. It just needs to be presented better, presented in a different way. Because for a lot of people going just to Cardiff for a game of rugby, because not everyone, and I don't even think a lot of people stay for both games. That's that's
No,
that's an issue in itself.
that it kind of defeats the point of it being a double header of the fact that people don't stick around for both games. Maybe if ironically, if the tickets were more expensive, then people would stick around for both because they're cheap. They just turn up and go, um, which does always makes the second game. Let's be honest. Oh, this is the other thing about Judgment Day is you know how like someone has to give up a home game, right? So
Yeah,
Ospreys versus Cardiff was technically an Ospreys home game. So
yeah,
they've got Ospreys like post protectors around the posts, and like the tannoy bloke is going, "Come on, Ospreys," and all that and stuff. I'm like, mate, we're in Cardiff. We're actually in Cardiff. Like, it's ridiculous. Imagine explaining to an alien who just landed. He goes, "Where am I?" You go, "You're in Cardiff, but." And he goes, "Why is that bloke acting like it's an Ospreys home game then?" And you have to go, "Reasons. We all have to pretend that we're in Swansea, but we're not. We're in Cardiff." Just forget that. Let's just acknowledge it's a Cardiff home game and a neutral venue for everybody else. Drives me up the wall always pretending that it's not. We're not in Cardiff.
yeah. I mean, do you think there's a case for possibly making it a URC thing and having an extra round, which is a derby round in the national stadium of each country? So obviously, I know Scotland and Italy would only have the one game, but obviously have two games of the Irish provinces in.
I swear the Irish did that once, but Caelan tells me no. But I swear they did it once.
I mean, I can't think of a time, and I'm 100% sure that the South Africans haven't done it.
South Africans is a bit different though, because their country's massive.
But yeah,
So like for all the Welsh to go to Cardiff or even all of the Irish to go to Dublin, really, um, is not a big deal. But if you want everyone in South Africa to go to Cape Town or Pretoria, that's a bit of a tougher sell.
true, but they kind of do it anyway for one of the regular games. But
Yeah, I don't know. It's a question. We'll just put it out there. I wonder if, now that you've mentioned it, if you like it, so like say this week coming up, are you still with me?
aye,
No, you're still with me. This week coming up, Cardiff are playing Munster, Scarlets are playing Leinster. If we did that as a double header in the stadium and got the Irish over, would that work as a thing?
I mean, you then saying that obviously, and one of our Welsh teams is losing a home game against different opposition, so you can't balance it out.
But would they rather have, because like the Dragons gave up their game against us, would they rather have us at Dave Parade rather than the Principality anyway?
Oh, 100%. I've no doubt about that. It'd make for a, I don't want to say closer content, but it'd make it more interesting. We'll get on to game review, but I think they got more chance beating us at Dave than they do at the stadium. But yeah, it's
But
an idea.
on paper, you should be able to attract more Welsh than Irish to Cardiff.
Yeah, so what you're saying, like have Cardiff and say Cardiff and Ospreys against I don't know Connacht and Ulster or Connacht and Munster, someone one of the other two in Cardiff, and on the same weekend have Scarlets and Dragons against the two Irish ones at the Aviva on the same weekend.
You might be onto something there. That's interesting. I just don't. Yeah, I think the Irish would probably say, "Can we have the South Africans, please?"
They would always say, "Can we have the South Africans?" Because that's what works for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've done almost 15 minutes. I think it's time to go on to the actual rugby now. So you were there live, so obviously you've got two different takes on this.
Hmm.
So what was it like watching live? So obviously watching live on TV, not in the ground. It was it wasn't great, but it wasn't totally bad either. Did you feel that in the ground? Did it appear that way too?
Um. So, but firstly, I want to say someone I forgot to mention a second ago was Gav from Dragon's Lair. I also sat in front of me with his boy, all game as well. He's great to talk to. I loved meeting him in person and having a chat with him. Um, And his dad's all right as well. But it wasn't a great first half, was it? And look, we'd all been there to see Ospreys Cardiff, which was a game that you didn't really know what was going to happen, and it was quite exciting. There was a fair few tries and stuff. This game, kind of, you've seen one match already. I would say that the majority of fans that only stuck around for one game stuck around for the first game, so there was noticeably fewer people in the ground for the second one. And look, it should have been not a non-contest, but it should have been a routine win for the Scarlets. And we made such a meal of it in that first half. It wasn't a good first half performance by any means. It took us all 10 minutes of them being down a man. In fact, I think they went back to 15 by the time we went over the try line.
Yeah,
And like genuinely, when we scored our first try, when Henry Thomas, or His Majesty Henry Thomas, as BBC have referred to him, HM Thomas, when he scored, genuinely, like Scarlets fans were sarcastically clapping. It was like, well done, nice one. You took your time about it. Um, and then obviously, we managed to get ourselves into a bit of a hole, 21 points to 7 down at one point. But then I think as soon as Hepburn got his try, I think it was all, yeah, we got this. And we turned it on in the second half. We started playing some nicer stuff. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of it in a second. But yeah, once Hepburn got his try, it was like, okay, no, we'll see this one out now. But as a game, it wasn't that. I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody that it was an all-time classic. I think the referee had a bit of a struggle. I think it wasn't necessarily the decisions that were the issue, it was the communication of them. There was genuinely, we were sat up in the stands going, and I know you haven't got like ref mic or anything, so you can't hear what she's saying, but it was kind of, her arm was going up and everyone was going, don't know what that's for. Even sometimes she'd like blow the whistle and the players would stop, but she'd delay putting her arm out, so you just didn't know what happened.
yeah, fair enough. The ref didn't seem to have the greatest day for either side. I mean, I was up in arms in the first few minutes. There was a couple of strips on the floor. One went back to TMO, but it was just a trend on both sides of the ball. I mean, even that first yellow card, I thought it was Tain Basham, the one on the floor, not uh, Dylan Kelleher. I can't remember his second last name now. But yeah, it's a hard one really to gauge because we always seem to get into a dogfight more than anything with the Dragons. And I don't mean this disrespectfully to the Dragons, but they've lost every game bar one, and they did bring us down to their level, which is something we've spoken about for years.
Jamie WhatsApp me that, to be fair, like we brought you down to our level.
Yeah, and it look, by the time Henry had gone over, that could have probably been our bonus point try. That's the sort of dominance we showed in that opening 20 minutes. I mean, you can forgive a couple because obviously a little knock on, where Cowdo picked the ball up and whoever was placing his hand was still firmly on top. Uh, what I can't forgive is Sam Lowsey's attempt at a try. I mean, how many times have we seen over the past couple of years Sam or Villa taking a ball from the ruck with one foot in front and being pulled back? It's happened way too many times now, boys. It can't be happening anymore. And I think that is a moment that not made a not changed the game, but made it a bit harder for ourselves. We thought, oh, we could have got ourselves by ear now. We've kind of messed this one up. Okay, we got to be more accurate next time. A bit more pressure on themselves when they didn't need to, and that just kept forcing the knock-ons, the little bad decisions that kept us back really more than anything. But yeah, I mean, one thing I can honestly say went well is the scrum. I said beforehand the game that I thought Henry should have a field day playing against Dylan. He's been playing SRC rugby this
That,
season.
that, that was something that Gav said as well, as he was worried about their front row.
Yeah. And to be fair, even with Rodri Jones on, we just mullered them. And it's something that I know you've spoken about in a scrum video for HG Rugby. If you haven't already listened to it or got in contact with it, go on. Give him a follow, give him a subscribe. He needs it. Um, is we have a tendency, and I like to think this is a tendency to scrimmage legally and straight. And this
I
is something that
think I think we're about restarting the game, aren't we? Rather than trying to win penalties, is our kind of where the way we're leaning.
Yeah, that's our usual rhetoric. And today, not today, obviously on Saturday was slightly different because we really went after them, especially on their own ball. Because I think the stats only say we won one of their scrums when we won fairly a few. Obviously, they were on the back foot a lot. Hepburn, he has come on so much in the last couple of months. And I'm saying this as if he's a youngster in his first season or two. But from where he was at the start of the season to where he is now scrummaging wise, he's a completely different player. He's found form, he's found confidence, and he's just happy doing it. There was a bit of a struggle with him and Latu in terms of binding. I think the way Latu was, he was sort of binding a bit low, trying to be a bit of a nuisance with Hepburn on his arm. And I can understand why he was doing it because Hepburn obviously had the upper hand from the get go. So he tried to make some sort of concessions to make life a bit easier for himself. And I think that's one of the reasons why he went off in the first half and Coleman came on so early. But end of the day, we went into this game needing 5 points. We got 5 points. Performance wasn't the greatest. This is something we've been said all season. We're not consistent. That is a massive bugbear we have to sort out because if we were being consistent at even 85, 90%, we'd comfortably be sitting second in the table. And I've no doubt about that in my mind. Looking at the games we've lost, the manner in which we lost the point margin, this is definitely a what if season for us. Like I'm not saying we would have won the league in the end, but we would have had a damn good chance. But yeah, if we talk about some of the tries we scored, a bit of a jump from my last statement. What are we thinking about Vaya's try? Because I know a few people have commented on his large step. Because I'm not saying the word that other people are trying to associate with that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can bring it up by here. Here we go. Right. He's inevitable, is via Fifita. I think
Inevitable.
he's like as an edge forward. I think if you're a defending winger, opposition winger, oh, I need to be careful because this is a Premier Sports clip. I might need to find it on S4C. Premier Sports are known for uh, a copyright strike. With vamping. Any, you know
Man.
any knock jokes?
Um, I don't know. I really can't think off the top of my head. You put me under pressure here. I can't do it. I can't do
All
it.
right, go. Okay, it's fine. We'll sort it. Right. Here we go. So
Sharing the screen.
share the screen. So Tommy Rog. By the way, I was going
Awesome.
to talk about him later. I'll talk about him now. Will you pause? I'm trying to press the pause button by you. There we go. Right. Oh, for God, crying out loud, man. How hard is it to play a clip?
Very apparently.
Very, I know.
Oh, we need Pringle back. He'd sort this out in a minute.
Right. Okay. So
I'll just
what
let
was
it
I even
play.
on about? Right, Tommy Rog, because it starts off with Tommy Rog taking the tap and go, doesn't it? So the influence that Tom Rogers is able to have on a game as a winger is amazing. Like he shouldn't. Wingers are supposed to stand out on the wing and touch the ball when they're going to ground it over the try line. His ability to influence the game from the wing is as great as probably any winger in Wales at the moment. Probably the form winger in Wales for me. I'm biased, one eye Scarlet, but his ability to just get involved and make something happen is phenomenal. So he takes the tap and go, gets the offload to Johan Lloyd. Johan Lloyd pings, to be fair, a great pass out to Fifita. And then Fifita, this boy loves it. Fifita grounds it, obviously scores the try. Now, people are saying, and people said this about another Fifita score, is he jumps the tackle. And I'm here to tell you, no, he bloody doesn't, right? When running, because people take a freeze frame and they go, oh, both his feet are off the ground. From that angle, it's never a jump. It's what a ridiculous claim. So people are taking a freeze game and saying, oh, he's both feet off the ground. When you're running, a definition of running is that you must have at some point both feet off the ground. Like the rules in speed walking in the Olympics is that one foot must always be touching the ground. That's the rule. So therefore, running, you're going to have both feet off the ground. So of course, you can find a freeze frame when he's got both feet off the ground, especially because he takes long strides. He probably travels at least 2 meters in a stride. If he's doing that and then someone hits his leg, then he's going to be on a bit of an angle, isn't he? So of course it looks like if you take a freeze frame, he's up in the air, but he's not jumped, he's running. Right, have I made that point clearly enough?
Yes, Fifita did not jump. If anything, he's literally just step in. That's literally it. He's just putting his leg where it needs to be. Obviously he is avoiding the tackle. You're allowed to
You're
avoid the tackle.
allowed to avoid tackles.
You're allowed to run around tackles, move your body around. So, and that's basically all it is. He's like, I can't see from over there, but it looks like, does he go to like sort of hand off and just step round? Because I think that's what my initial thought on it was. I was thinking, oh, are they really going to come back for this now? Because one thing I hate with rugby in general is any form of athleticism. Yeah, sort of puts his hand on him and steps over. Any form of athleticism like that, like the Blair Murray one with Wales. I'm sure there was another one with Wales women that got disallowed as well. We just, people get up in arms over it. Well, it's an amazing a bit of athleticism and talent, and we love seeing it because that is pure enjoyment of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Is this the kind of thing that you want to be ruling out tries for? You know,
No,
that's the freeze frame that people get. He's not, how can you say he's jumped over him? He's not even over him, he's to the side of him.
well, yeah. Look,
It,
his trailing half of his trailing leg is below his head,
his legs
and
are lower than the tackler, so therefore he hasn't jumped over him.
same as does he make contact with him and push his leg into that angle? Because
Exactly, exactly. If anything, it's the Dragons player's fault for being there.
I mean, yeah, true. If he weren't there, we wouldn't be thinking about this. But fair credit to him. He did go low to try and tackle the inevitable, but like you said, he is inevitable, so he did get over.
Hmm.
And you know, surprisingly so, Fifita hasn't been scoring that many tries this season. Like I think that was only his third try for us this season.
Yeah, but he
And
had that all-time worldie ruled out for a job's worth decision against Black Lion. So
I mean, yeah, but even then, that only takes him to what, 4 tries? But even saying that, I need to go on record to having a look at his history now. It feels as though he should be scoring more tries for us for whatever reason.
hmm.
And I've actually made a fool of myself here because I've only got last season's on hand, and according to my own data, he's only scored 2 last season, so he's done even better this year.
Well, there you go then.
I feel like a
Nothing to worry
knob.
about. Did you think that Sam Lousy was player of the match?
No, I'll be honest. I thought he was quite anonymous for large parts of the
He
game.
did this, which was cool. The between the
Yeah,
legs thing.
yeah, it's a bit of fun, but have like our line out mole didn't function that well, and I know Sam isn't our number one target, but he is obviously a vital part in that machine. So yeah, I think whenever a line out malfunctions, you can't just look at the hooker. I hate people just look at the hooker. I think there should be more emphasis on the locks and the ones who are actually taking the ball,
I
even
think
the
the lift. I
lifters.
think the props get away with murder at line out time.
Oh, 100%. There are a few, especially the front lifter. You'll find more than anything because it's a lot more difficult to lift at the front than it is at the back. You got nice little bum cheeks to get your hands around at the rear, but at the front, you just got these big thick quads to try and dig your hands into. And if they've got those little paddings on, that can't help, but they're not always
Hmm.
the best. But you'd like to think at professional level they've got some equipment that makes it a bit easier. But yeah,
Yeah. I would have given player of the match to Cowdell because for me, in that second half, look, we weren't great in the first half. In the second half, he took control and he was like, right, and we know he doesn't really like the Dragons. Um, and he was like, right, okay, right, we're winning this for God's sake. So he kicked the ball 14 times and he really varied it up and we went contestable in the second half, which I thought worked really well. I thought both Blair Murray and Tommy Rodge were excellent in the air. Ellis Mee, considering his height, isn't amazing in the air at the moment. I think that's a work on for him. I think next season, I'd really like to see him come on in those stakes. What with him being that tall, You'd like for him to be a real weapon in the air. So hopefully that's going to be the next level of his game, next level of his development. But I thought Cowdell just taking command, kicking the leather off it, and just directing it, saying we're going to win this. One thing that we've added in the last 5 games, which we didn't have at the start of the year, was the dinks over the top, particularly
Yeah.
for someone like Max Page to follow. We'll talk about it a bit later in the preview for the Leinster game, but we haven't really evolved very much across the season at all. But that is one thing that we have added, which is working for us at the moment.
Oh, 100%. And it's something that led to our final try to blame each other, ultimately got us over the line, is those little kicks. You know, we were constantly putting the ball in behind. There was a bit of a superlative crossfield kick earlier in the game, which I, I don't want to talk about, but I just have. But 100%, this is what I like to see from us. Usually it'd be from a 10, but obviously when you got someone of Cowdo's ability to kick them, why not use 9? I'm saying use it at 10 because we're over here in Britain. If you were in France, you used to kicking off 9. But yeah, you know, having that sort of varied kicking game, the chips in behind, the grubbers, the crossfields, the spirals. I love seeing that. And it's great to see us trying to implement it. And yeah, people can say there was an element of luck to this try with obviously the Dragons player sort of fumbling it. But it wasn't the first time we tried this kick. You know, we obviously targeted this area and knew it was something the Dragons were weak on. And may have taken a few attempts, but it finally came good.
Mm.
You know? And even at that point, didn't see the timestamp, but it was like, was it 60 something, maybe 70? And we were 23-21 down at that point. It didn't feel like we were losing. Like when we went 20 points to 7 down, I think it was around the 45-minute mark. It was like a 10-minute blitz of Hepburn getting that try, as you mentioned. Then Fifita, it just seemed as though we're like, okay, boys, you know, we need to buck up our years by year. We've given away a couple softies. They've taken a bit of a big lead. Let's pull ourselves back. And obviously, Cowdo was a big part in that, which is great for him. But is it really great for us overall? Because if we're relying on him so much now, I mean, there's a lot of speculation on whether or not he's going to be here next season. And then with our reluctance to use any other 9 for more than a handful of minutes, it's a tough question and a question that
Yeah,
needs to be asked.
it is a bit like that. It's amazing, like I said, how much of an influence that Tommy Rogers has on the team, Blair Murray as well. So on the one hand, like when those players are back and they perform, you can kind of go, oh, I can see why Dwayne is so reluctant to play anyone other than them. But on the other hand, you're like with Caldo, for example, if he's so important to have on at the end of the game, then start a different 9 and bring Caldo on 42 minutes if you have to. So yeah.
I I've been saying this for a very long time. I am not against first half substitutions. If it means you finish the game with your best players,
Mm.
and you know if you have if your intention is to finish your game with your best players, and those bench players they do, I don't want to say weaken the team because obviously it makes him seem like lesser players, but obviously it brings that standard down. But start them when everybody is fresh around them, when everybody can give that little bit more to help compensate for that little drop in standard. That is the best time. I'm not bringing them on at 65, 70 minutes when everyone else is knackered, and then any of their frailties will be shown even more.
Mm.
You know, like I'm happy to pull someone off 15, 20 minutes if needs be, if that's part of the plan. And obviously it'll be a tactical decision. So if
Mhm.
there's any injuries later on, hey, back on the pitch you go.
Mm. But yeah,
Legitimately. Like,
I think in terms of winning the game, I think our quality showed through. We showed that we had with the better team with better players. We started playing with a bit more shape as well. Our well-loved Eddie pulls it back out to in lines, someone close to Johan to the wide areas. And so I think we made Tommy Rog made a break and made us about 30, 40 meters off one of them as well. So like I
yeah.
said, not reinventing the wheel, but in the second half, we just got back to being us. Um, I do want to mention Johan Lloyd, 5 from 5 off the tee, and I think there was a good 3 or 4 touchline kicks from that. So that deserves a shout out. Still the URC top point scorer. His is kicking off the tee is not an issue. And I think probably Cardiff, in fact, yeah, Cardiff fans have been replying to us on social saying, look, if he can do that for us, then he's worth the money already.
Yeah, but obviously you've got to mar that with the fact of his ability to run the game at 10, which has obviously always been his issue
You could
for
just
us
play him at
here.
fullback and then it's not a problem.
Yeah, but they seem to have this fascination with win it, and yeah, I'm thinking of trying to make Cardiff a better team here. So this is quite an unusual one for me to be thinking about. But yeah. Bugger it. Signed Jack Lloyd from Newport. I have the two Lloyd boys there. I mean, he's been playing well for Newport.
I'll give you my my two other highlights of the game, which happened at the end of either half. At the end of the first half, it was into overtime, and I think the Dragons had the ball and then they lost it in their own half, and then we attacked, and then we knocked it on in their half, and they started playing again. And Gav in front, and it gets to about 43 minutes on the clock, and Gav in front of me just stands up and goes, "For the love of God, kick it out!" And about 20 people all around us burst into laughter. So that was class. And then at the very end of the game, the way the game ended, we won a penalty. And I think there was 78 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. And obviously, a shot clock, it lasts 60 seconds. So we win a penalty on 78 minutes, 30 seconds. And then the boys just stand around for a bit. And then Amy goes, "Captain, what do you want to do?" And Josh is like, "What?" And Amy's like, "What do you want, Captain? What do you want to do? What's your option?" And Josh goes, "Ooh, well, let me see now. Let me see by here. I can kick to the corner. Don't want to do that. We can opt for a scrum. No, we can tap and go maybe. No, maybe not. I'll tell you what, we'll take a shot at goal, please. I'll have a shot at goal, please, Amy." And then by the time he's asked for the shot at goal, it's 79:05. And Johan Lloyd just has to not like be short and the game's over. Just nice one, Josh. That's what I call captaincy.
Yeah, it is a bit of fun. Someone we haven't mentioned who had not a great game, but he had a solid, he had a good game, especially against his opposite number, who people were kind of hyping up a little bit before the game, is Eddie James. And he's become more than just dependable. It seems everything that he does is of standard, of quality. Like every time he goes into contact, okay, I know there was an early knock on where there was, I can't remember where it was stripped to. I'm going to say it was stripped cleanly. I'm not going to say otherwise. But every time he carries that ball, he is. We know he's that threat, but he seems to be more commanding in it as well. Like he's making yards against multiple tacklers. He's just doing his job fine, even when he's not part of the play. Like I know we have Blair Murray coming at 10 and things like that. His presence is building, and it's causing problems. Him just being stood on the pitch, which is absolutely amazing for us.
Yeah, and I think what impresses me when you watch him is how often he gets the ball from a standing start and still makes ground. He gets the ball stood still and then he throws a little bit of footwork and he goes forward. And look, I'm not saying he makes 10 meters from a standing start, but he makes a good couple every single time. I've never seen him lose. It's a big statement, but I think it might be true. I'm not sure I've ever seen him lose a collision.
That is a statement. Are we including defensive collisions in that?
No, only ball in hand. Attacking. I've never seen him lose an attacking collision. Even
Yeah,
when the bloke tackling him was running toward him and he stood still.
yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw one of those collisions when we played Ospreys earlier in the season, and it was quite a hilarious finish. I'm pretty sure you sent that to me as well. But yeah, I like Eddie. When we bring Costello back now from his little collarbone injury, be good to get him running onto the ball more than just standing still.
Yeah, we have a couple of balls more out in front of him than behind. And shout out Scott Williams, though, obviously Scarlets legend. What did you think of him? Because he was, look, let's be honest, by the time he left us, we were like, this guy doesn't get into our 23.
Yeah, I mean it was the same. Obviously, we still had John Fox at that time, and it was rumors around the place that fitness and pace. Obviously, pace when you're older goes anyway, but they were two big concerns, and I think a lot of people realized that. But him turning out for Pontypool, he's obviously done more than a job because he's gone into the Dragon setup now. And I know there was a few injuries. I mean, I'm not saying that Scott walks in as they start in 12 or anything like that. But there were some extenuating circumstances as to how he got onto the field in the first place. But when he's on there, again, very similar to what I just said about Eddie, he's so assured of himself. And why wouldn't he be after playing professionally for over a decade? All them Cats of Wales. I mean, a different generation away from Jamie Roberts, away from Hadley Parks. Scott Williams is near enough a generational talent because that's how good he was in his prime. And you could play him 12 or 13, which again, it's a skill that seems to be lost on a lot of players nowadays. They're very obviously we like players who are specialized, but they specialize in again. It's like saying, "Oh, I can only play blindside flanker. I can't play open side." It's like saying I can only play inside center. I can't play outside center. Obviously different roles, different responsibilities in certain aspects. But that was something I always loved about Scott is that he would just slot in perfect because he was perfect in that center combination during our championship season. If Hadley was out, I'll go in at 12. If Foxy was out, I'll just play 13. You know, he had so much talent. Obviously, a few injury ravaged years over the border didn't help his career. But yeah, I love Scott. I will always love Scott. I do think if he was born 10 years later or 10 years earlier, he would be a player that is in that bracket of one of the best centers we've ever had. But because he was in such a time where our talents were through the roof, were pretty a Lions series when that not Lions series and Lions series. What was it? What did Fox?
Player of this series against the All
That's
Blacks in New Zealand.
that when you
Um,
got that, and then
like he's come through. We've had what Regan King, John Fox, and Hadley Parks, and then obviously he's he's thinking right. Hadley Parks is gone. John Fox is towards the end of his career, and then bloody Eddie James and Joe Roberts come along, and then Max Page is coming through the under-20s as well. He's thinking, hey, what's going on by here, man? Like, can't I catch a break? Can't I just be the best centre at the Scarlets for 10 minutes? And like you say, he's just been unlucky. But he did score one of my favourite Scarlets tries of all time against La
2012.
Rochelle.
No, oh yeah, Wales. I was thinking then. Just
Oh
for
no,
that
he
England
scored my
try and
favourite
repeat.
Wales try of all time against England in 2012.
Yeah, it's easy for people to forget or not understand how good of a player Scott was in his prime and still is. I mean, I'm sure he could come on and do a job for any one of us, any one of the regions. Hell, he could probably come in and do a job for Wales if needs be. I know that's probably stretching it a bit,
It's a bit of a stretch.
but he has that much. It is exactly the same as how I feel with Eddie James now. I can see all that talent in him. I just want him to use it and be allowed to use it. But yeah, good to see Scott. Let him finish out the season. Whatever happens in pre-season and going into next year happens. And if he stays with Pontypool, if he gets a full-time contract with Dragons, then happy days either way. Like if he wants to come back to Newcastle Emlyn, I know they're going down to the championship. You get to play with his brother again. So that might be nice for him. But,
Yeah, why
yeah,
not?
why not? So we said Sam Lousy wasn't. Well, I said Sam Lousy wasn't my player of the match. Anyone else standing out before we move on?
No, I said Cowdell would have been mine for the way he took control of the game.
Yeah,
Minus, by the way, another 3 turnovers. How good's he?
ridiculously good. And I think Philippa on comms for Premier Sports even mentioned it. His work rate is just through the roof. Like a few restarts, and he's there.
I'd love to
First
see
time.
him get a Springbok cap. I'd love that.
Okay, this is where it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me because if he did get that Springbok cap, it would mean he's probably going back to South Africa. I don't want him to leave. I want John Daniels, Peel Co, whoever the hell it is at the minute, could be to sit in a room and then go, okay, here's a nice 4-year contract. You're not going anywhere. And then by the time he hits 32, 33, okay, Springboks are not going to bother you anymore. Now we can talk about another extension. But yeah, here's us. So, do we feel it is time for the community?
I'll tell you what, there's some community chat to be had this week.
Is it now? Have you seen something I haven't? Okay, let's share my screen for the visual listeners. For audio, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Okay, so not a great week in Super Rugby Cymru. So we had Bridgend against Llandovery on the Friday night, and somehow, and I say somehow because I'm still scratching my head a little bit, Bridgend won 34-33.
My timeline was just full of like Llandovery tries, so I assumed they'd absolutely done them over, and then I see they lost by a point. I messaged you like, what's going on there?
I know, it just...
Oh, Ed Scragg was sat in front of me in the stadium as well, by the way.
Ed Scragg, he's a guy that... he's above SRC level for me, and he probably deserved a few more appearances for us to give his stall out. You know, rumors are he is leaving. Oh, that's one thing. We should be getting our leavers list by end of the week with our last home game. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Back to SRC. Yeah, obviously this game was on SPED Rec. We were able to watch it. I don't know how Llandovery lost this game. I
don't know
really
how
don't.
I don't know how any team could possibly lose any match when Harry Thomas is playing.
I know. Harry Thomas was he was actually at the ground as well in his Scarlets gear, so I believe that means he is now firmly our third option at hooker, because Sean Evans turned out for Quins, which we'll get onto in a minute. So if we just talk about the boys who we had on show, we had Harry Thomas, the aforementioned Man of Steel, Morgan Jones, Ed Scragg, Tommy Lewis, and Jack Davis, all in the starting 15, and then we had the loose head prop young Tom Phillips on the bench. Now, try scorers, Harry Thomas obviously gets a try because he's just that good. Tommy Lewis bagged a brace, but not only did he bag a brace, he also grabbed 2 try assists as well. So not a bad day for him. And Jack Davis got a monumental 80-meter.
If you haven't seen
try
this
assist.
try assists, man, he's taking the piss. He just goes, I fancy we're going to score a try here, and he just runs. It's basically the whole rest of the pitch. By the way, I think Tommy Lewis as well assisted one of his own tries. I think he makes a line break, passes to a guy. The guy stood still. Tommy Lewis runs around to stand the other side of him. The guy gives him the ball back, and he scores. I think that technically counts as assisting your own try.
Hat trick of try assists. I mean, he wasn't the last one to touch the ball before he received it. If he threw the ball over it and just run around, that would have been made for one hell of a try assist. But yeah, great game for Tommy Lewis. I think all our boys are showing up well. Jack Davis, I spoke about him start of the season before Ellis Me was obviously Ellis Me and did what he has done this year. I thought we would have seen a lot more Jack, and I don't know how I feel going forward because our back three is stacked. Tommy Rog, Blair Murray, Ellis Me, Tommy Lewis, and Jack Davis, and they probably have 5 core ones. I know Steph Evans is in there as well. I don't know how much longer he'll be with us, but he's in the twilight years, especially as a winger. So yeah, all in all, back three is looking good for us. On to our next game in Super Rugby Cymru. We had Carmarthen Quins hosting Newport. Quins had a bit of an upturn in form there. I think they had won 2 of the last 3 games, but Newport come into town when Newport have really hit some form as well.
Yeah.
I do have to say, they beat Ebbw Vale 40 points to 14 previous week. So that's wow. That's a cracking win for them. So Quins did go down 21-56. Someone I mentioned for Newport earlier, Jack Lloyd, 8 from 8 conversions. He doesn't mind kicking, just like his brother. So, yeah, tough day at the office for Quins. It does mean it puts them into the wildcard playoffs. So we'll come on to that in a minute.
What does that mean, wildcard playoffs?
So basically, the top 6 in the league have qualified for quarterfinals. So, and then 7 through 10, they have a wildcard playoff to see who fills up the last two places in those quarterfinal playoffs.
Right. Come on, Quinns, you got this one.
Up to RGC. It's going to be a hard day, but they can do it. So yeah, boys involved in this one, we had Callum Woolley, Ellis Payne, Keanu Evans, and Sean Evans all starting. I mean, only fixtures this week because of this now is that wildcard player. So Llandovery get a week off, lucky them. Carmarthen are going up to RGC on the Saturday. The other wildcard playoffs on Thursday night. Esbred Rec Live, Bridgend Swansea. That'll be a great one if you want to watch something on Thursday night. It's a difficult one for Quins because going up to RGC is never easy. The two games they've played this season have gone to the home side. 29-24 RGC's favour, 29-21 Carmarthen Quins' favour, which was quite recently. So, yeah, there's a couple of players that Quins could do with, which I don't think are going to be playing. Charlie Titcombe is one of them. Tom Phillips, their captain, is another who we haven't seen him since November. You know, he's out for a good while. Yori Badham as well, he's out for the season. So there's a lot of players that are missing. Ocean Williams, our Scarlet under 18, who was on duty for Wales 19s for the past couple of weeks. Obviously, this last weekend was a week off. But again, he's a player that can come back in. No, we'd have an all Scarlet back row. If that was the case, that'd be pretty good. I wouldn't mind seeing that. But yeah, it's we want Quins to win. We obviously want him to do a trip to Cardiff or Ebbw Vale would be the prize for whoever wins this one. So if they're going to have any chance in this playoffs, and not many people are putting their money on them, I do have to make that very clear. It doesn't get any easier from this point. So we now go into the Premiership. We had a midweek game where Llangennech went to Newbridge and won 31 points to 19. Well done, Llangennech. Into the Saturday now, and Llangennech again 36-20 winners over Ystrad Rhondda.
Beautiful.
So where Llangennech are in the table, Ystrad is a good comparative team. So to get a solid victory at home like that, well done, guys. And same goes for this one. Narberth 29, Cross Keys 17. Like you yourself, you watched Cross Keys when they went up to Newcastle Emlyn. We watched them.
Team.
We watched them in the cup final against Pontypridd. Got a bit of a batter in. So basically, what we're saying is Narberth are good enough to get to the cup final. That's what I'm taking from this one.
Agree.
And Newcastle Emlyn did travel to Pontypridd, the winners of that cup final, and they lost 48-7. There's no disrespect losing by a large number.
Is it patronising to say that that's not that bad?
It's not that bad. You know, you lose to Pontypridd or Merthyr primarily in this league. If you get a thumping from them, especially at Sardis or at the Wern, you just brush it off. It happens. They just are that much better than everyone. And then Neath, a little bit behind them, and then it's everyone else. So it's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. To get a try against Ponty at Sardis for these teams, for a lot of these teams, is job well done. It is ridiculous. But that loss does confirm Newcastle Emlyn getting relegated back down into Championship West. So the only game they have this week, we have Newcastle Emlyn at home to Narberth. This is a vital one for Narberth to win. Otherwise, they could be staring that relegation door down as well. If you're looking on screen, watching on YouTube, whatever, we do have the Divisional Cup finals in my little bottom corner by here, but I haven't got the date for them just yet, so I'll just skip over that for now. In Championship West, another midweek game, Shettley Wanderers, 82-0 winners over Meister Quins.
Ridiculous.
What are you going to do? Onto the weekend, then Ammerford 31-15 winners at home against Cassinen. Crymych giving a good battle, 26-38 at home, loss, I should say, at home to Tata Steel. Tata obviously on course for second place unless Wanderers mess it up somewhere along the lines, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that because they were 50-34 winners away from home against Gleneath.
Just 132 points in 1 week.
Just 132 points in 1 week. What do you say? Only game this week now, we've got Shettley Wanderers at home against Ammanford. These last two leagues are odd number leagues, so a team gets a bye. Llangennech get a bye in the Premiership and Crymych get a bye in this one. One West, the season is officially over after Barryport won 41-35 away to Vellinville, and One Island 134-12 at home to Hendy. So the champions are Aberystwyth. They are going up on their own, and the relegated teams are two we didn't want here anyway: Pontedilais and Pencloud. I'm sure Chris.
Oh, Pringle's not going to like that.
No, he's not going to like that. But Bont got a chance of winning some more
Kira
games this
Bevans,
season.
Pontedilais.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I know the way they've drawn the boundaries of the regions, but there's just the other side of Calms. There's so many teams that are basically ours. Everyone living there always supported us anyway. Bont is one. You got Gasainan. There's so many places like where did James Ratty's dad live? I can't remember now.
Oh,
Is that Pencloud?
I
No,
want to say
might
Pencloud was
be.
what came to my head. It begins with a P, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, I think boundaries might need to be redrawn as long as we can keep excluding Lacha because no one likes Lacha.
Just draw a circle around Looker and then, you know.
Okay, in 2 West Central, Bryn Aman 25-23 winners at home against Abercrave, promoted Abercrave. I have to add how important that is. Fixtures for this week, they are at home against Hoylecow. Hoylecow, I believe, are champions of this league now as well. So I've done a little bit different by here because Bryn Aman is the only team we really care about in this league. So champions, not Bryn Aman with a sad face. Relegated, not Bryn Aman with a happy face. So I'm happy with that.
Job
The
done, Bryn
job done. If the way they played, I think is like mid-November onwards. If they just played that way for the first like 6 weeks of the season, they'd be promoted. They'd be going up, possibly even as champions. They've got such a good side that I think is worthy of at least one West. I'm hoping that maybe they'll swap because I want Bryn Aman over in the Western leagues. Just makes my life a lot easier. But there we go. Okay, over into 2 West. Milford Haven against Carmarthen Athletic was postponed. I've been lazy again this week. I haven't looked at the reason why. My apologies. And then Nantgaredig winning 31-24 at home against Fishguard. So champions of this league, we have Lampeter Town. Well done, Lampeter. Promoted alongside them, we have Larne and the relegated Milford Haven. Maybe not being able to get enough players for that final match against Carmarthen. Kind of hard to play for something when you know you're already relegated. You know what I mean? So 3 West, Cardigan won 66-3 at home to Ponteberem. To Christ, 61-5 winners at home against Am United, confirming the title. Championship to Christ. Woo, woo,
They
woo.
tagged us on Twitter as well. Congratulations, boys. Loved it.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. But the game that everyone wanted to see was Tumble Abereiron. It was winner takes all, winner gets promoted. And the final score 31-33 in Abereiron's favour. They go up. Oh, that was when the
Shonod
leagues
Harris's Abereiron.
when the leagues spout out the fixtures the way they do, and you get one like this where it is literally down to one game, whether it's championship, whether it's relegation, promotion, wherever, it just intensifies everything. And to finish 2 points, a penalty kick. You love seeing it. You can just imagine being at that ground and feeling that drama all the way through. Just amazing. Okay, so few fixtures left to be played in this league. So we got one on Friday night. We got Am United at home against Cardigan. Champions to Christ are not at home. They're travelling to Ponteberem. But if you can't get to the park on Saturday, to Christ, clubhouse is open from 3:03. And they're having a celebration barbecue with free food between 6 and 8. So, you got nothing better to do. Head on down.
What? Sorry, say that again. Free
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, the poster says free food.
When was the last time you went anywhere you got free food?
Well, I mean, I think they class it as free food when you pay for like a free bar and stuff. You know what I mean? Oh, no, you got to give a gift. Go to your parents. There we go. That's how you do it. But yeah, the barbecue was from 6 till 8. They said it's free food there. It might only be your first one. I haven't confirmed all of the rules. But if you can't get to the park, it's a 5:15 kickoff for Scarlets, Leinster.
I've just realised because it's gone dark here in real time, I look a bit like a Bond villain now.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look at you now. Okay, let's keep on going. And then on 3rd of May we have Haverfordwest against Llangadog, champions this league, the Ticroys, promoted Aberaeron. 3 teams relegated, only know 2 of them as it stands, Kev Nathan and Ponteberem. A bit of a bad one for the Gwendryth region. So for West A, Neyland 36-19 winners at home against St David's. Narberth Athletic winning 19-15 away to Pembroke. I haven't middled that result. It's annoyed me a bit. 1 game left to play in this league. Narberth Athletic away to Llanybudder. It was postponed, I think, last week. I don't know when that will be played. So champions of this league, Neyland and promoted Narberth Athletic into 4 Westby. And again, another promotion decider. Trimsaran 6, Furnace 5.
Proper rugby. There's a bit of pro de deux about that.
It is. That is just.
Can I quickly,
ridiculous.
it's got nothing to do with this. Can I very quickly tell you my Biarritz promotion story?
Oh, crack on.
It's not my story, but it's the story of. So Biarritz were in the Pro de Deux. Biarritz chaotic club. Everything that happens down there is a story. But so Biarritz in the Pro de Deux, they play the access game against Bayonne.
That's
Now, if you
promotion,
look
right?
at Biarritz and Bayonne on a map, you think that's the same place. They're very close in the Basque region of France. These two have beef. So a couple of years previous, the owner of Biarritz had tried to merge Biarritz with Bayonne, and it was stopped by fan protests. Now, and they dislike it. So in Biarritz, they've got Biarritz de Basque on signs, which means Biarritz of the Basque region, basically, in France. And when Bayonne go to Biarritz, they graffiti the signs to say Biarritz pas de Basque, as in Biarritz are not Basque. Like the beef runs deep, right? I think it's 5 kilometers between the two places. So anyway, Biarritz are in the access game, which is the playoff between the second top Pro de Deux team and the second bottom top 14 team. They play each other. It's 6-all at full time.
Oh.
It goes to extra time. It's 9-all after extra time. So it goes to a penalty shootout. Stefan Armitage kicks the goal for Biarritz to beat Bayonne. Bayonne go up. Bayonne go down. Biarritz go up. That is a spicy derby, my friend.
And Stefan Armitage. So when did this happen?
Ooh, testing me now. I think it was 2021 because after the game, Biarritz got investigated for breaking COVID guidelines. Basically, they sold out the stadium and it was supposed to be half empty.
I don't blame him. I really don't blame him for that. So we swing right back into the community. Only fixture we have in 4 Westby is Trimsaran at home against Llandibby. So champions of this league, New Duck Stars. Who's New Duck Stars? I keep forgetting to say first off, but I like saying it again. Promoted Trimsaran into youth rugby now. We got some district finals. So in it's the Pembrokeshire Cup, but I call it Kelly Pems. It's written down if you haven't seen. We got Narberth against Haverfordwest in Pems Plate. Tenby against Crimich. Carmarthenshire Cup final, Carmarthen Quins against Llandailers on the 3rd of May. That's what's penciled in. And the plate final doesn't have a date yet because Carmarthen Athletic are waiting for Lampeter and Newcastle Edmund to get the game on. So, yeah, that rounds up the community game. So, we're just over an hour in. So, if you've made it this far, like, share, subscribe, do your thing, leave a review. Why not? And if you really do need some extra rugby content, HG Rugby is where you want to be. You get a nice little email on Friday or Saturday, whenever it is, if you sign up to a Substack. Some interesting stuff in there.
Some. And of course, if you want more community stuff, you can check out the SRC pod, which Mart hosts, which is, if you were a real rugby fan, that's the podcast that you listen to. But if you really, really liked us, tell you what you could do, Mark, is you could send us a letter.
Oh, no.
And we've had one. I've got it by you.
I'm muting this now. I'm too angry.
It's from Jack from Lucker. He says this: Dear Sosbans and Sidesteps, pathetic. Keeping your playoff hopes alive like that. If you were a proper club, you'd chuck the league and fully focus on the cup. Yours, Jack from Lucker. Well, what do you say to that, Mark? Are we fools for keeping our playoff hopes, our slim playoff hopes alive, and not chucking league games like proper teams do?
Yeah, well, I don't think proper teams chuck their games for because they don't want to be in the top eight. I think they chuck them because they don't want a team they think about more often to win a hubcap. That's my honest thoughts for there. But yeah,
Can I just quickly say, when I was watching the first game, I was
I
thinking, right, if Ospreys win this, then we've got a chance of winning the Home Cup. But then Cardiff scored, and I went, yes. So clearly, it was clear who I wanted to not win.
yeah, it's like even me doing my little permutations to how we end up in the top eight. I was like, oh, if Ospreys win this, we'll get the little hubcap. We haven't had it yet. It doesn't matter, but we haven't had it yet. And then they're obviously going to lose one of the derbies, so they can lose
You
against
know that
Dragons.
if we'd have won that hubcap, I'm doing day one Welsh Shield champions on Twitter every day for the next year.
Well, hopefully for the next few years.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, that would be funny.
it
But
would be
yeah,
funny.
Jack, I'm really sorry that your team doesn't believe in itself and have to go for top eight. But it is what it is, and we move on to our final home game of the season against a lesser team in Leinster. So they have
Would you like my in-depth deep dive on Leinster analysis?
is it longer than 30 seconds?
My deep dive analysis of Leinster is this. Leinster good.
So no, it is not longer than 30 seconds. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Yeah, then Leinster are good because of the system they are able to implement in their country, which is not replicable in Wales. Just need to point that out. We don't have the same bloody conditions to do all Leinster do. Not many places do. Some places in England could, but move on from that. Yeah, so they do have a little something called a Champions Cup semi-final to look forward the week after us.
So what do you want? Would you rather they send a C team, or would you rather they send the Geordie Barrett All Stars?
I mean, if Jody Barrett wants to play in their E team, I'm happy to take that. I just wanted to get Jody Barrett at the park, to be honest. That'd be interesting enough. But I don't know what to expect. I mean, looking at the squad they played against Ulster this past week, it it wasn't 100% their first team. So I'm thinking, are they gonna have 2 weeks without games and then go into a
Yeah, but they still had
semi-final?
Robbie Henshaw and Gary
Oh no,
Ringrose and Dan Sheehan and
they had a
stuff.
few. They had a few, but it wasn't like full on Leinster's first 23, was it?
It wasn't Ireland.
Essentially. So I'm thinking maybe the other half are going to be playing down here, so they only have 1 week off each. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think if they send this C team and we go full out, obviously chance to beat Leinster. Chance to beat Leinster anyway. Got to make that point very loud and clear. It's
Do you
always
know
a
what it
chance to
is
beat
as
team.
well? This whole like beating Leinster thing. People act as if we've been kicked, our ass has been kicked by Leinster for the last 20 years. Not facts. Welsh teams used to beat Leinster all the time up until about 2018.
Yeah, I think the last time we beat them was 2018. I think it was like 23-21 in a league
Yeah,
game.
we beat them at the park. And we expected to beat them as well.
Yeah, we did. Because I remember, so we beat them in the semi-finals comfortably with 14 men. We then, I
Hmm.
think, we lost away to them in the league the next year. But I think it was a 10-all draw at home, and we disappointed that we got the draw against them in that one. And then we beat them the year later. And obviously, since then, you know, Wayne Pivac less, Brad more less. We haven't been quite the same. But yeah, they're a machine. Like I just spoke a little bit about the system they've got. It's able to produce dozens of rugby players year on year, and it's hard to fight. But I believe when we do have our best 23 on our field, if we play to our utmost and to our game plan and no mistakes happen, I believe we can win.
We need to have the same mindset of when we've played the Bulls.
one Hundred
Needs to be
percent.
that same line in the sands. This is our backyard. I think Captain Josh needs to be having words in the changing rooms every day saying, lads, imagine what what would happen if we rattled Leinster here. Because I do think they will send a C team. And like you said, Mark, the only league game that we've played so far this year that we haven't been competitive in was Munster away.
Yeah,
And like I said, in our own backyard, we need to give Leinster thirds a game. And
we need to
imagine we
beat
won it
Leinster thirds.
because they're going to have their mind elsewhere. So, yeah, I would love
My
it if we beat them.
I've heard those words before. Um, my worry is we view this game like we viewed the Leinster game last year, and we rotate and keep all the boys
I can't
fit.
see us doing that because it's our last game at the park.
No, I know, but I'm thinking maybe it's just a case of we start a few boys and having the frontliners on the bench. Like us, even before, I'm going back before the European games. I was looking at our fixtures and going, Leinster. I'd like to see, Tits get a tit start. I'd like to see Harry Thomas get some game time. I'm looking at the boys that really need minutes for us again. Yeah, this is a game they're probably going to do it in, just because of they're probably not going to back themselves to win. Thinking if I'm thinking full strength Leinster or at least semi full strength Leinster coming down at that point. And obviously, as the weeks have evolved, you've gone well. Anger banger. There's few things are slotting into place for you. They're not going to be coming fully loaded. I'd be very surprised if they did come fully loaded, but even
Mark,
then,
what's the point of being a one-eyed Scarlet if you're not going to pick us to beat Leinster?
exactly. But nah, oof. Do we want to change anything? I think the only thing that would change is if people came back from injury at this point. So we already know Maximus
Costi on
isn't
the
coming back.
bench?
I mean, if he comes through an intense contact training session, I'd start him. I really would.
Tall order.
It is, but same, Johnny Williams, Kemsey Matthias, both boys exactly the same. If they're fit, they're back in the 23 at a minimum. It's just so noticeable how different we are with Costello running things as compared to Lloyd. And this is no disrespect to Lloyd, but Sam Costello, oh my god, he
His
is
stock has
such.
gone up since he's been injured.
It
Like
has.
it kind of felt like at times that maybe a year ago we were the only people on this pod. We were the only people saying Sam's amazing, and then since he's been injured, it's just gone more and more and more. And now everyone's going, Jesus, we need Sam back.
Well, I think the thing is, last season we were crap, arguably worse than our history. I'm saying worse than our history. I'm definitely worse in regional history, probably worse in Clefley RFC history
I'd
included.
go with that. Well, I don't know about Connecticut RFC, but I'd say definitely since I've been watching,
Regional.
last season was the worst we've been.
So Johan Lloyd's not going to stick out as an average 10 then when we're playing that badly anyway. But this year, our performances have been better. We do have a consistency issue and getting ourselves up to that level more and for full 80s. So where Sam has been gone, and we're like, well, we normally play better than this. Who's in it? And Johan Lloyd does stand out as someone that's not really doing the job that we expect or we need them to do to follow game come. Because don't get me wrong, even when Johan Lloyd starts at 10 and Sam Costello's on the bench, we have our game plan to suit that. But our game plan always involves Sam Costello some way. And when he's not available, it takes a hit so badly, whether he's seeing out games or he's instructing them from the start. He's what 23, 24 years old, and he is such a talented player. He is such a good player, and when you do consider that he is 20, just turned 24, back in January, and when you're saying that, if you look at our senior academy contracts go until the year you turn 23. So this season is his first season out of senior academy age, and realistically, he's the best Welsh 10, the best available Welsh 10. I will go to that. I just love Sam Costello. He's
Me too.
he's a brilliant player. So, predictions. What? do we think? It's going to be tight no matter what team turns up. I would love for Jody Barrett to turn up at the park. That is on my wish list, especially this season. But
Well, he's unlikely to do it a different season unless we arrange a friendly against the Hurricanes
well, I don't know. Maybe
or we play the All Blacks.
maybe someone does something dodgy with the Principality roof and they have to move a Wales game to the park or whatever.
Oh, that was the thing. They had that stickmen thing as the entertainment between the games.
What was that?
It's this like it's like this act called the stickmen, and they play like basically they press play on a playlist and then they pretend like they're making the playlist happen by hitting drums. And the whole point of it is it's a light show. They've got like neon stuff around them, which makes them look like a
Oh
stick.
no,
But guess what? The
the
roof of
roof.
the stadium weren't working. So it was broad daylight and the light show was non-existent.
That is poor. That is wow. Haven't they got a way to manually close it? I mean, come
Well,
on.
like a rope, you mean?
If it works, it works. I mean, you've got to have a
It
way to
should be
sort
steam
it.
powered, really. Should be fueled by the coal of Wales.
Yeah, let's not get into that side of things, shall we? So yeah, predictions for Leinster. It's always going to be a Scarlets win because Scarlets are the best team in the world.
Can you imagine if
Bar
we win
none.
this?
I don't have to
Will
imagine.
we ever shut up about it?
I mean, it'll probably depend on how bad the South Africa trip turns out to be. But in terms of home games, no,
That's the
we
thing that
wouldn't
I'm worried
celebrate
about
for a
now.
while.
We've got in the league, we've got a positive 28 goal difference, points difference. With playing Leinster in a trip to South Africa, that could go turn negative. There's a world in which that turns
No.
negative.
Yeah.
Mind you, you've seen how crap the Lions are. We got to beat them.
Oh, don't no. This is what I've been arguing myself now because I've had us down to beat them to get us into the top eight. That is our and one more win of these last three. Not that I don't back us to beat Leinster, of course. But I was thinking how bad they were. Like literally, I've watched like the 10-minute highlights on Premier Sports. It's like, oh my god, how bad are they? They surely this is going to be like a, a massive smack to them, and they're not going to be this poor again, and they're going to just go all out and win the rest of the games. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what to think. I don't know whether or not they're going to get worse or they're going to get better. And I'm racking my head like, how do we get top eight? Even though that would probably mean a trip up to the Aviva. But yeah.
Yeah, but then we'd be in the Champions Cup. That's the main reason I want top eight.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that. Isn't there anyone in the what's it called?
Just Edinburgh.
Connacht not in anymore. They
No.
no Racing when Edinburgh. Do Edinburgh have a chance of that? I mean, they're playing
No.
better. They're playing
No.
better. Okay, then top eight does do it. Okay, bugger it. I don't care if we have to go to Leinster and beat them in their own park again. Let's
Okay,
go
we'll do
do
it
it.
with 14 men again.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we'll play Steph Evans. Right, here's the plan. Pay attention. We'll get Leinster away in the first knockout round. Play Steph Evans. Steph Evans goes high shot on Caelan
Tommy Ryan.
Doris. One of them knocks him out, gets red carded, send him off, we'll beat him with 14 men again. There you go. It's my 3-step plan. Step
Three.
one, get into the playoffs. Step two, Steph Evans, get sent off. Step three, win the game.
I mean, to be
It's not
fair,
hard, is it? It's not rocket science.
no, it's not rocket science. We've got a plan. It's a simple plan. We just have to, apply it and get it done. But to be fair, there's also not a world where we don't finish seventh, and that would mean a trip to Glasgow. That wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't mind
Mm.
that. You know. So yeah, I mean, I know I'm probably being very one-eyed and delusional with some of my results per year. Hoping Zebra get another win or two to keep other teams out. But yeah, I'm silently
Scarlets by
hoping
2, Mark.
that's an unrealistic scoreline. We're never gonna win by two. I'm saying this to jinx it. Go on, Scarlets by 8. We're going to deny them the bonus point.
Oh, deny them a
Let's do
losing
it.
bonus point. Yes.
That's it. All right then, but I think that brings us to the end. Unless you do have any other business to attend to, he
Not
is
me.
shaking his head. He is set, not me. That means we are done. So again, thank you everyone very much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed, or if you don't enjoy this sort of thing, and just listen for the tears.
Yeah, if you don't enjoy it, but you've gotten this far, you must be an Ospreys fan.
Can't say stuff like that, but it's not okay. I'm going to get messages about this now. You know that, right?
Yeah. It's
All
true
right.
though, isn't it?
Maybe. I'm not saying yes or no. Okay. If you've enjoyed, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. We do this for you, not just to have a ramble to ourselves to make us seem a bit more important.
Yeah,
Who
shout out to all the people who came up on Judgment Day and said hello to me, by the way. Made my day.
who wants to be famous? If you haven't taken anything from the her endless plugs of HG rugby and his trips to the big stadiums, he doesn't like coming to little grounds. I should say that. Uh, the look I just got. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you to who. We will do this all again next week. Possibly have Pringle back with us after the Leinster game, after a resounding victory over Leinster. But until then, thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.
Nosta.